It rained, didn't it?
Oh my God, it rained.
Proper dancing down.
I love a storm. I love it.
Especially the one that comes at the end of the summer.
However, I'm not a big fan of it when it rains on my face
While you're in bed.
whilst I'm in bed. The roof leaked.
Yes, there was a roof failure, wasn't there?
Yes.
I think it's the angle of
Pardon?
attack. It's the angle.
Okay, that's far too technical for me.
We have an old Spanish house with that has been, in some respects, restored, and in others, absolutely not. And even when they are good, they're not that waterproof. At least not the waterproof to the kind of level of rain we had. It was the end of summer storm, wasn't it? Really, although it's still hot, so perhaps it isn't finished
It's
yet.
humid today again.
It is. It normally rains the third week of September, very heavily, but we got some last week, so that would be the end of the first week of September, wouldn't it?
Yes.
A bit early, 2 weeks early, but my goodness, what a rainstorm it was. At least where we were, it was. There were like 10 flashes of lightning a second almost, weren't there? And it was rivers going down the street and everything, quite something. But it didn't hit the whole island. Soyer, which is, we mentioned in the last podcast, has a bit of a water shortage and hosepipe bans and lots of frowns on the faces of people in charge of making sure Soyer has enough water. It didn't get quite as much rain as they needed up there, so they're still panicking a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's well, it's not. It's how do I put this? We're very. I mean, it's climate change, is it not? Really, like it's hot. It's getting hotter every year.
yes, it does seem to be, as in the middles of the summer are getting hotter and the hotter bits getting longer and the storms are getting more violent. Actually, there was a talk sorry, we've welcome to the Majorca podcast, we should say. Right, back to climate change. There were people measuring specifically the temperatures of the Balearic Sea, which obviously is the sea around the Balearics. It'll come as no surprise. And it's incredibly hot. Its surface temperature is like really hot, hotter than they've ever measured before, which is a real problem because that's when basically the warmer the sea, the bigger the storms when they hit. And we are about to start entering storm season. So we have been getting some pretty epic storms. And that was a big heavy rainstorm, but yeah, there's probably more to come, isn't there? Still warm.
It's not a year yet since that big flooding in Valencia, so like
No,
we've got
exactly.
I mean, like it's all to come.
The Dana, wasn't it? It was called
Yes.
that. So but yes, it's still warm. Anyway, what have we got going on?
Okay, so I'm just looking at this thing from the Four Seasons Hotel up in Formentor.
There is a bit of hoo-ha.
What's going on up there?
North. There's an iconic hotel. If you north of Porto Poyensa, the very northern bit of Mallorca, between Porto Poyensa and the Cap Formentor Lighthouse, is the most beautiful peninsula of land with hardly any buildings on it, and it is just gorgeous. Anyway, but there's a rather iconic hotel, the Hotel Formentor.
Just been refurbished.
It has. It was a big deal in the 1920s and 30s when Hollywood film stars used to go there. And it's this rather pristine beach, almost unspoilt beach. It was bought by a big consortium, apparently including Bill Gates, who spent a lot of money on it. It's now super exclusive, even though in the past it was also super exclusive. I think the cheapest rate is 1,600 quid a night.
Pardon? What?
1,600 euros a night is
night?
the cheapest room rate.
Sorry,
yeah.
a night?
Yeah, you get to sleep by the boiler for that. If you want a good room, it's 3,200. Yeah, so it's not for the likes of us, by the sounds of it.
It's more than our mortgage.
Yeah, it's probably slightly more luxurious than our pad.
Possibly.
Anyway, so far, we haven't finished it.
That's true. The roof is still in progress.
The gold bath taps are delivered next week.
But they seem to have acquired or squatted on a beach.
They are commandeering a bit of beach, which you're really, really not allowed to do.
Really, really.
And because they're trying to make it a bit of a exclusive private beach for people paying a fortune to stay in the hotels. You really can't do that. And a lot of Mallorquins and not a lot of locals here are very protective, quite rightly, of the fact that you can't go nicking around coastline that belongs to other people.
Costas are going to have them.
All the people.
Costas are very tough.
Well, there is a bit of government called Costas. I'm not an expert. It means coasts, obviously. And they protect literally the sort of 10 feet, whatever it is, of the coastline all the way around the place. So basically, you can't build anything on it. You can't own it. You can't fence it off. And quite a lot of places that have got houses that were built, 100 years ago are having bits knocked off them. So they sort of infringe on this territory. So, it looks like reading through the story, which was read in the Daily Bulletin this week, it seems a bit like the tactic appears to be sort of fence it off and then pay the fine.
But here as well it says that there's the group that's complaining, which is a group called Formentor Public, has said that the hotel as yet hasn't removed the remains of materials from the reconstruction work either. So there's like a big old pile of crap that they haven't taken away yet.
In a really, really beautiful bit of a really beautiful island. So, doesn't look like they're winning the locals over, does it?
No, guys.
No.
Do better.
Meanwhile, talking about things under construction, they're going to finish the Palma Paseo.
Are they?
Next, well, in theory, this is the reforms in October or November. They were supposed to be finished in April of this year, but they aren't. This is the seafront.
It's so disappointing.
All the way through Palma. I'm a bit disappointed. It was 3 lanes of traffic either side, so 6 lanes of traffic, and it goes past all of the marinas and boatyards. And they decided a couple of years ago this is possibly not the best use of prime Mediterranean seafront as being the major road through town. So they thought they'd basically turn it into a park. But actually they've taken 6 lanes of traffic and turned it into 4 lanes of traffic and a big bike path. And they've taken all the parking away and they planted an awful lot of trees. I think there were plans originally to put a tram line along there that would take people to the airport.
I was excited about the tram.
There is no tram. And a lot of, on the basis of the fact that this was going to
improve restaurants and eating and dining
it was going to be a gorgeous place to be. So a lot of restaurants moved in or invested in the areas. Property prices went up because people thought, we're going to be looking over this gorgeous park. Actually, they're just looking over a slightly less busy road with more trees by the side
basically,
of it.
they're still sat by the side of the road. When I thought they were going to put the road, I thought it was going to go underground, or I don't know. I just thought it was going to be mostly tram, mostly pedestrian.
It's mostly exactly the same as it was with a few more trees.
It's identical, which is nice.
And
the
no
trees
parking.
look good.
The trees do look good. And there are some nice little benches and sort of landscape bits. It looks all right. And I think in a few years' time, when all the trees bed in and the flower beds grow up, it'll look nicer than it does right now. But it's not quite what I think everyone thought they were going to get.
But who's being held to account for that? You know?
Nobody at the moment. I think there's a lot of people representing the businesses on the seafront going, hang on a minute, we were investing in our terraces and companies moving in, and then suddenly, because people can't park really anywhere near it, restaurants are having reservations cancelled because people just can't park.
And also lots of businesses closed during the redevelopment of that, or development.
It's been about 2 years, hasn't it?
Longer than that.
Certainly 2 summers, anyway.
And businesses couldn't keep going because there was nobody going there because it was a building site. Yeah. And now it's more or less finished. And it's actually, if I was a business owner, I'd be absolutely livid.
Yeah, if you come here on your holidays and looking for somewhere to eat, you don't choose the bit by the building site, do you? So they've missed out on 2 hugely profitable summers. A lot of the businesses there, and it doesn't look like they've gained a great deal.
No.
So a few of them have gone bust. So it's a bit of a mess, really. But anyway, for better or worse, it is going to be finished, so they promise, either October or November. We shall report. Maybe we're all cynical and wrong. It'll be gorgeous. Who was it that once said, was it Bill? Not Bill. Stand-up comedian. Said, I don't wish to sound bitter and twisted, but I am, and that's how it comes out.
And you've also you flagged up a story that's been breaking this week about Spain potentially having a smoking ban on bar terraces, beaches and stadiums.
Basically banning fags everywhere, really.
And vapes.
And even nicotine patches, apparently. I don't know where you can...
How are they going to do that? They're going to
I don't know.
Pat you down.
This is a bill that's been passed through Parliament, and it looks like it's going to get the go-ahead. You can already... Obviously, you can't smoke inside restaurants. That's been the case for a long time. COVID meant that they sort of banned smoking on the terraces of restaurants, and that still remains banned. But football stadiums, beaches... Basically anywhere outdoors, a sort of outdoor public space, it will be banned, including vapes, if it goes ahead.
I think that's a good idea.
I think so. I mean, you don't want... Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of smokers still in Spain. You don't want to demonise people for something, for that much. But, I mean, certainly glad they don't have it in restaurants. Pretty glad they don't have it on restaurant terraces.
But on the beaches, it's more a littering issue, I'd say, because people smoke on the beach and then don't take their cigarette butts with them.
But littering is already a crime on the beach, isn't it? So you can,
but they can just bury them in what cigarette butt? So it's actually an environmental problem.
Yeah, well, anyway, there we go. So I think that looks more than likely to go ahead. So we shall keep you posted if it does. Anyway, we've got an interview for you today. We went on another walk in Palma. We've seen quite a lot of that recently. A guided walk with Sergio García from Honduras, who, it turns out, has got a million different strings to his bow, does lots of different things, and he's a man who can smile while talking. I found out during our interview, which is always a good sign, actually. He's got a big grin on his face all the time, and he's a fascinating fella.
I really like him.
How did you find out about him?
I don't know. He's been on my radar for a long time, and I'd never met him, and I knew his name, and I hadn't met him, and he was like doing various bits and bobs, and I saw something on Facebook, or I got an email, and I thought, oh, hang on, this looks like an interesting thing to get involved with. And I like anything where you're kind of walking and talking and figuring out the history and the culture of the place that you're in. I'm really interested in doing more of that, because I think it's a great way, firstly, to practice whatever language you're learning, secondly, to learn more about the place, and thirdly, to make friends.
Well, that was it. As you'll find out in the interviews, he started off teaching people languages, and then he thought, well, why don't we walk the streets of Palma and use a sightseeing trip as a language lesson, which is one of the things he does. So have a listen, and I guarantee you're going to need him for something by the end of the interview, because he does everything. Here's Sergio. Right, I'm in the studio here with a fellow I met for the first time last week, Sergio García, who we were on a walking tour in Palma, and he was giving us all these buildings I've walked past a million times. And Sergio took us and a small group around to have a look at the old noble houses in Palma. Went into a few places. It was sensational. I was thinking, why haven't I done this before? And he's sitting right in front of me now. So I'm really glad to get the opportunity to talk to him again. So good afternoon, sir. How are you? Thank you for joining us in our studio.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Oliver, for the opportunity to be here.
Oh, great to have you. Now, why don't we start there? I've got a list of questions which I will get to. Okay. But why don't you start with the way that I met you on these walks? How often do you run them? How do you get involved? How do you advertise them?
Yeah, this is, the Expats walks in Palma started as part of my Spanish courses. I teach Spanish. And in order to make him more fun and more attractive, in completely different from what you would experience at the classroom, I started having or holding conversation club sessions at different hotels.
So I didn't know this. So it started off as a sort of language lesson as well as a historical
exactly.
tour. Right, okay.
Exactly. But then it turns out that, all these places are really nice, and it's useful because a lot of people haven't been to many of these places.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You would say, okay, you go to Paseo Borne, but you don't realize that, next or in front of the Plaza Juan Carlos I, you have these noble regal house called Casal Soiric. And people, just don't dare to go in there in many cases. I'm a big fan of history. Well, when I was living in London, I was sort of doing the same sort of thing. And Palma is just layer upon layer upon layer of history. But we mustn't even have covered a kilometre, right? We just went the little back alleys around Alonja. Exactly.
And we did, every 10 metres there was something else to see, really. It was incredible.
It was incredible, especially in the historic district, because we were concentrating in the historic district. We started near La Lonja, and like Calle Apuntadores, you have 2 or 3 historic properties that you go in there and admire, and one of them, 3 actually are hotels. And then if you walk a little further down, you encounter another such property that it's also a hotel. It just opened up maybe 6 months ago.
And you got us into all of them. There was a little knock on the door and say, hey, come in, bring the tour in.
Exactly, yes.
You got behind closed doors on this tour as well. So.
Yes, we do. We do go behind and that's why I try to keep the group small, because that way they're not going to be feeling overpowered, by this, and you still have to. Yeah, and in some places, depending on who is in reception, they are more friendly or not to allowing you in. But in most cases they are.
And you run a number of different walks, don't you? So
yes,
it's not just that one. So give us a little list.
Yes, the noble houses is one of them. These are old mansions that used to belong to Majorca nobles. Mm-hmm. Or huge places that used to belong to well-off people back then. and that over the years, have been transformed into either apartment buildings or cultural centers or hotels.
Art gallery there we went
Or
into
art
as well,
galleries.
wasn't it? Yeah,
Or art galleries, exactly.
I mean, because you've got Palma's, or Mallorca has layers of history from Phoenicians, Carthaginians, Romans, Moors, Christian. I mean, and there's a little bit of everything somewhere, isn't there? Still, the odd brick or archway here or there. You can find most of it there.
Exactly, yeah, hidden in there. Or if there are no remains, physical remains, the site can be referred to. For example, the cathedral, it was built on what was a mosque before. And if you go to Calatrava, that's another tour. Calatrava is behind the cathedral. In this one here, a lot of people don't venture out in that part of town.
Right.
It's behind the cathedral. You have all these narrow roads, and you find many interesting things and many hidden gems actually in the city. Amazing. Yeah. That even locals, even Mallorcans, even people from Palma haven't been to.
Sometimes you don't see what's right under your nose, do you?
Exactly.
Okay, this is one string to your bow. We're going to get to all the other ones as well. So that's Expat Tours.
Yes, Expat Tours.
You'll find a link to that in the show description here. So if you want to go and join it, and you really should, check there. So now we need to find out a bit more about you as well. So tell us a little kind of quick life history about what brought you here, because you're not Mallorquin.
No, I'm not Mallorcan. I am from Honduras, Central America. But when I came to Europe, that was in 1992. I lived before Europe. I lived in the United States for about 10 years, and then I came to Europe, and I lived in Belgium. Yeah, beautiful country and everything, But after 2 years, I said, I need the sun.
Yeah.
So I looked for an excuse to at that time there was a group of people that were trying to set up a business here in Mallorca selling perfumes in hotels. So I said, okay, I'm going to sign up for that. And we came in, and he was selling perfumes. Brand names and also copies, but it was both. So my role was to go to different hotels and negotiate the points of sales in different hotels.
And that was the job that got you here.
Yeah, that was what got me here. Yes.
And how long did you do that before you moved on to the things you really wanted to do?
I did that for 4 years. Yes.
Right. Okay. This was 94. You said you first came here.
94. Yes.
Right.
Came January 94.
That's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago. And then in 98, I was recruited by Marriott's Club San Antem.
Yes.
Yes, that's, and I was doing marketing. My field is marketing, you know.
We'll get onto that a bit later as well. There's a
Exactly.
lot of things to talk about here.
Yes. So I started. I worked with them for 2 years. Yeah, from 98 to 2000, and then the year 2000 we had. We couldn't negotiate the contract, so I went off on my own. So I started a new business in the year 2000, and I have been autonomo or working for myself, self-employed since then. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so you're paying all the tax.
Paying all the
We are
struggling
I think
sometimes.
I'm keeping the government going on my own sometimes. It feels like.
Exactly.
Excuse
Yes.
me. And that was that Taekwondo as well. That was the business you set up in 2000.
That was Taekwondo was a little later. I started with Exposia. Exposia was for press marketing and public relations. So helping small businesses with their marketing needs. Yeah, they need. But back then we didn't have websites at the beginning, so we were doing designs and printing leaflets and doing everything that was creative. Yes, and I started working with a lot of didn't have employees. It was all freelancers.
Yes. Okay. And you have the logo on your shirt, so you're obviously still doing that. You've been doing that today, right?
I still do that. We did run into a bit of a problem when the crisis, the subprime crisis came in. And that was 2007 to 2014.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long period, and it took its toll. My marriage went to pieces and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so Yeah, and
It was a tough time for a lot of people then,
it
wasn't
was
it?
it was tough. It was tough. So I couldn't sell my services. I mean, companies were not like before. At a certain in Mallorca, it come March, everybody's calling you. So I need leaflets. I need this. I need a new brochure. I need and it came June, nobody called. So I started doing something else. I got into education, so I started teaching marketing for entrepreneurs, marketing for artists. Because I've always in my activities, I've always done something to promote brand awareness using art. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So that took you into being a teacher.
that's
of
exactly
marketing. Right.
That took me into that field, and then I realized I like it. I like that. So I also started teaching Spanish to non-speakers.
Yeah.
And then also started teaching English. Yes, to Spanish.
Right. Okay. So are you teaching Spanish to English speakers?
Yes.
Right. Okay. And is that mostly British people, or is
No.
it right?
Nowadays it's a little bit. You got people from all over the place. Now you have a lot of Swedes. Yes.
So you're teaching it to people who've got English as a second language but speak it fluently.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No. And then I teach English to Mallorcans, local people. Mallorcans, and then Spanish to English, Swedes, Germans. Anyone whose main language is not Spanish,
Right.
and who are either living here or have a relationship with the island. So in some cases, they have a shared boat. A yacht.
Okay.
They don't have a property, but they have a boat for 15 days every 3 months. Yes.
I guess a lot of people think they don't need it, and then they get here and realise that they've got to fill a tank of gas up or go to the town hall for a bit of paperwork or something like that. And it's the eternal shame of British people, I have to say, or native English speakers. We're terrible. Mostly at learning foreign
exactly.
languages.
Because you become complacent because everybody speaks English.
They don't.
Here.
They don't. I'm 54 now. So it's a while since I was at school. You don't get. And I'm excusing my entire nation of people here. It sounds like I'm not trying to do that. But you get taught no foreign languages at all until you're 11 at secondary school. Nothing. Or you didn't then. And then they taught you French for 2 hours a week.
Ooh, yeah.
And then you never heard any French, unless you went on holiday to France.
Exactly.
You never saw a French movie. You never heard a French song. Nobody you knew spoke French, and the only time you would get it is if you went on holiday to France at some point. And it's different because, I think a lot of people, if I listen to Spanish radio, for instance, or you go to the movies in Spanish, a lot of Spanish TV will show American movies or English movies. Often with subtitles. If you listen to the radio, probably 50% of the songs are in English. If you learn it, you're immediately exposed to it in a way that the British people British and American people, I guess, just aren't really.
Exactly.
And it does make us, I don't know, is lazy the wrong word? Probably. It's a bit complacent.
It's complacency because, they expect that everybody else. I mean, in Mallorca, it does happen. People make, I have students that tell me that, they make the effort to speak Spanish, but then they speak back to them in English. So I tell them, okay, just tell them that you are, that you don't speak English. Yeah. So you can carry on. Yes.
I have lots of strange two-way conversations where I say, I ask or answer a question in Spanish, and they, out of politeness, answer me back in English, and I ask them back in Spanish.
Exactly.
So we're having, and it's I don't like to budge. And
exactly.
Our daughter, who just duck her head, and she was born and raised here. She speaks Mallorquin, but she's 6. She could not look more like a Geary. She's 6 foot tall, blue eyes and blonde hair.
Exactly.
And they all, and people talk to her in German or English all the time, and she goes right back at them in Mallorquin. It's like, no, I'm actually, and she's a Spanish passport holder as well. She's more Spanish than British. So that was your language speaking. Now tell us what Que Cuando is and when you started that.
Yeah, Que Cuando we started at about 2004. Yeah, with a friend because he was this designer. It was an entertainment guide, and it was a paper paper guide that we distributed around Palma.
It's a little what's on guide.
A little
really?
what's on guide that listed concerts, events, exhibits, and cultural events, and we actually sold publicity in these media because it was printed. It was printed until when the crisis hit. Then we actually discarded the printed edition and we just merged into the online edition. And to make things interesting, I started. Instead of, for example, you sell the space. Okay, so what I offer you is what I offer the restaurant. Okay, instead of saying, okay, I will advertise you here. No, I will organize an event. I will bring people here. So that pays off for the publicity. But yes, you see a return, and and then I would. Many times I would organize many events in many different places like lunches, annual monthly lunches for different groups.
So this is not just a what's on guide. You're actually filling it with events yourself.
Filling it with events.
Okay, that's
exactly.
a great idea. Right.
Yes, filling it with events ourselves, and like we were having a lunch once or every 2 weeks, which was actually very handy because we would get people, some of those who were speaking or trying to practice their language, you would bring them into these other groups, or people who were trying to find out, meet other people. So that was a really good opportunity.
And do you try and cover everything, or you have a kind of particular direction you'd like to head?
Yeah, no, it's more special events, events that have to do with art and culture and history.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you go island wide, or you're mostly Palma, or is it?
Mostly Palma.
I guess, but it's the biggest place. Isn't
it's the biggest place.
Yeah.
Although every now and then I get requests to do like a tour around the island. Yeah, and then we do tailor suit for a tailor a tour for whoever asks for it. Okay, we take them to Randa. We go to the monastery there. We go to and we talk about why is that place so special. It has to do with Raimundo Lulio.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, exactly. And that's where, Raimundo Lulio was said to have been illuminated.
I know all of these monasteries because I'm a keen cyclist. All I do is cycle to the top of them.
You've
turn
gone
around
up
and cycle.
there, yes.
And San Salvador we were talking about before. Yeah.
Yes.
Just off air. But so what, out of all of the things you've done so far, what was your, with Taekwondo, what was the kind of the best thing that you can recall?
I would have to say I was very surprised the first time I went to this church in it's actually a convent in Santa Clara. It's a cloistered convent. The nuns
in Palma.
In Palma, yes. And for the first time, I saw how they sell cookies, and the nuns sell the cookies, but you don't get to see them. So you ring a bell, and then you shout out, oh yes, I want these cookies, or what have you. And then you put the money, and then it's a turning thing. It's a metal turning cylinder.
Yeah. Okay. So
yes.
You put your money in, and the money disappears.
The money disappears, and then boom, it turns around again, and then come out the cookies. Yes.
I guess you can be fairly confident the cookies are going to come round.
Exactly.
Nuns aren't going to just steal your money.
Exactly.
Okay. Maybe they do.
But I was so surprised, shocked actually when I saw that, and I was like, "What is this?
Is that still happening? Does that?
It's still no, not anymore. The turning thing is still there. The turning cylinder is still there, but now they have a room next door where they have a window, and you can see all the products they have.
And where's this? This is in. You mentioned I didn't hear when you said it. It was in
Santa Clara.
Where is that?
It's in Calatrava. That's part of the Calatrava tour.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's amazing. And then there's another amazing place. It's nearby, in that same place. It's a chapel that it's open 24 hours a day. Yes, and you hear the silence. You go there.
Okay.
It's amazing.
A deafening silence.
Oh Jesus!
Really?
And plus you take a peek out to the garden. It's actually the church, and then they have the convent, and the nuns are so friendly.
Right.
So friendly, exactly. You see their happiness in their face,
That's good, isn't it? They're supposed to be having people right.
Exactly.
It's funny whenever I go somewhere for the first time, I want to find out everything. I've been here for 20 years now, and it's probably about 15 years since I stopped finding everything out. Now, if I go to Palma, I go to Carrefour and Decathlon and Media Markt, and you go away again. So, are you finding that a lot of your clients for these are new people to the island saying, "I'm just arrived, show me everything"? And is it the complacency of people who've lived here for a long time that just,
Yeah, you see both. But in most cases, I get, that's why I've called these tours expats. Most of them are people who live here. Yeah, expats who live here, and they just haven't been around, And the other day I had a man who said, "Oh, yeah, I've been here 15 years." It's like I discovered many things in 2 hours. It's like, okay. Yeah, because, somebody's got to show them to you.
We have every year I do a charity bicycle ride. I help organise it, and it goes on a loop of Mallorca, sort of 420 kilometres. And we have, as people who drive, support cars for us and help us out. And I have had people who've lived here for 30 years, and they drive a loop of the island, and they go, "I've never been here before." They go up to Cap de Pero or places like that. It seemed like a long way from here.
I know.
It's the you fall back into a comfort zone, don't you, where you stop learning.
Exactly, you do. It's like this weekend I went to Costich for the first time,
Did you go for the candles?
Yes, I go to the candles.
We were there too.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. It was really nice, really nice.
And it's such a beautiful little town.
Such a beautiful little town. And then, when we went to the parking, you see the sky full of stars. That was a nice event.
So my stepmother-in-law lives in Costich, so we've been there a few times. It is the prettiest little town. It is everything about even the derelict houses look really neat.
Exactly.
There's nothing
nothing is out of place.
No, it was fiesta time,
Yeah.
We'll talk about this another time.
Yes.
There was candlelight. The whole at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
They switched all the streetlights off.
All the lights are off.
And there were some concerts there. It was just beautiful. I think it's a great little. There's not much to get you there. Apart from maybe Fiesta, it's the kind of place you'd bypass very easily. And there's lots of these little towns in Mallorca.
Exactly, lots of these towns, and but it usually have during the month of June, July, August, a lot of these villages celebrate their fiestas. So their verbenas. So they celebrate the patron saint of the city. Yeah, or the village. So, they're very, very nice little events.
We were talking about this on a podcast a week or two ago. Wherever you are, particularly if you're here on holiday, there's a good chance that a little village, not too far from wherever you're staying, is having some sort of little fiesta. They might not be very grand, but they're always gorgeous.
Exactly.
They're always lovely, and it's proper Spanish culture that is right here, and it doesn't take much to go and find it. Costich was packed on Saturday night. Like our little fiesta in Saraco is going on. We have the raffle for the Petanque Club, and the whole place was packed. It was just like, it's good to go and see. Now, culturally, you've been here, 31 years now. You must have seen the culture of Mallorca develop quite a lot, probably diversify, hasn't it? I mean, how have you seen that move in the 30 years that you've been here? Is it more diverse now?
Yeah, it's more. I would say it's more diverse. You have more galleries, for example, art galleries, and most of them are foreignly owned. And then you have the local events organized also. That are minding. Our population. It's people from everywhere. Yeah,
the fiestas seem to get bigger and more elaborate.
Yes.
As you go on, there used to be lots of things that were quite similar. Now there's lots of diversity coming into the fiestas here.
Exactly, and in some cases they're rescuing some traditions. For example, last Wednesday, I went to this dinner outside the Plaza La Lonja. Okay. And it was organized by the Neighbors Association, and they have been doing it in Palma for the whole summer in different squares, different plazas. So you had like Plaza Mayor, Plaza del Mercat, and the last one which they closed the season with was Plaza La Lonja.
And that's just very local residents who live there?
Just for the local residents. City Hall lends the tables and the chairs, and then sound system in if necessary, and then people come in and bring their stuff. So so I went in and I brought my dinner, and you bring a little more to share as well, and you bring your drinks and stuff. So and nice, it's a nice opportunity to be out, because you see people that you haven't seen, and you actually know who they are. But you never had an opportunity.
I have to say, it seems like such an obvious thing to do that, and Mediterranean countries particularly, certainly Italy and Spain are very good at this. It's just, but the weather helps, I have to say.
Yes.
You try and do this in Britain or Germany or Denmark or something, the weather's going to play against you. But here you can go, okay, it's an August evening, let's all go and drink some wine in the square or something like that.
Exactly.
Like I cycle to work a lot, and I always cycle past this little bar in the morning at about 7:30. All the old guys are out there having a beer for breakfast, all hanging out with each other. That would never, no one in... I mean, certainly where I grew up in Britain would go, let's go out for breakfast. It's just not a thing that would happen.
Yeah.
And it's, I love it. And it seems to be more and more, and our local councillor, Andrew, actually is very good at encouraging this stuff as well. There's always something going on.
Exactly. There's always something going on. If it's not music, it's theater, you have cinema, there's always something going on. Yeah.
So what have we got? Anything coming up soon? The Night of Art is coming up.
Yes,
soon-ish.
The
must be a big deal for you.
Yes, that's in Mallorcan is La Nit del Art, and this is an event that most galleries, especially those that are associated with the Gallery Association, inaugurate a collection, an exhibit. Yes, and also the main cultural centers like Casal Soiric, the place we went to, Casal Soiric, Casal Balaguer, La Misericordia, they also host and inaugurate exhibits.
Yeah, even if you've never been to Casal Soiric, you'll have walked past it. It's right next to, is it Zara, isn't it?
And Zara and H&M, so it's between them both, yes.
At the top, at the sort of Bar Bosch end
exactly.
of the Borneo. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, I'm just,
correct. Yeah. So at that night, all these galleries and spaces inaugurate their new collections. So people go walk around from 6 in the evening until 11. I
haven't done it for a couple of years, but it is great, and it's coming up in September, is it? Or
September 20th. It's
right.
on the 20th of September from 6 p.m. until 11 p.m.
It's fantastic, I have to say, from memory.
It's a great night. It's a cultural night. Everybody's out. You see everybody out there. Yes,
and it's one of those things that, because Mallorca sort of takes care of itself a bit in the summer. It's busy dealing with tourists, and as soon as the tourism starts to dip from high season, these events are suddenly there's space for these events, and it's a bit nicer to walk around because it's not so hot. And actually, you start the locals start slowly reclaiming Mallorca, don't they?
Correct.
We'll have it back for the winter, and you can all come back.
Yes, exactly. It's like we can share it with the rest of the world for 3 months.
Yeah, because you couldn't imagine doing the Nit del Art in August.
In August, no.
I mean, it's too hot, and the places are too busy, and the bars are making their money. But it's sort of you can mix the Nit del Art with a sort of tapas trail, can't you? It takes you between galleries and past an awful lot of very nice bars and restaurants. So
we do, and usually when I go out with a group of people and we say, okay, we're going to do this route, and then we're going to have tapas.
No, it's perfect. And there's I seem to remember there's quite a few. It's not just walking into galleries. Sometimes there's actual performances as well.
Exactly.
They time them as you go around.
Yeah, they have performances. In some places, you have music. Yeah, live music, and so it's a very nice opportunity to be out. Yes.
So we'll link to. And that's Quequando, really, that you can...
Yes, that's Quequando.
As with Expat Tours, there'll be a link to Quequando
exactly.
and all the other things you do as well.
Yes, and I also do...
Excuse me.
Yes, I also organize exhibits, and that would be the Exposia side, meaning, for example, I have several artists who ask me, okay, where can I exhibit? So especially up-and-coming artists who... Yeah, they don't have a name. They have an art. They have, they have cooking or something. But for galleries to host, newcomers is very difficult. Yes.
Are you finding that towns other than Palma are starting to get a bit of a presence as well? I went to Santani, which is quite a long way from where I live, and I went just to take some pictures. I know Santini's got quite a few galleries and things like that appearing now as well.
Yeah, more things going on in all outside, in the villages. Like this event we went to last Saturday.
The Costige.
The Costige. They apparently they've organized it before, but now this time they publicized it. Yes. So that's why you had this huge crowd.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
We ended up parking our car somewhere near the edge of town.
Oh, exactly. Yes, and they had to make this space for them because it's impossible to park in this small village.
It's impossible.
Yes.
The rest of the time as well. But
The rest of the time, but especially with these, it was like cars after cars, and it was thousands of people. Yes, hundreds actually walking around. So it was it was a different event. Different event.
No,
so with Exposia, I organize exhibits. Sometimes I have organized exhibits for clients to develop brand awareness. I've taken like a collection of photographs from Mallorca. We titled it Mallorca Enchanted, and that was to promote brand awareness for a rental car company. So we took this exhibit we started it in the city of London at Bancamarc.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we took it to Victoria Station and then to an office building on the Thames. And then we organized a cycle with the Cervantes Institute. It was the exhibit. During the exhibit, it was Lucia Graves talking about literature. It was somebody talking. We had a speaker who talked about Ramon Llull. Yes, and I talked about the concept of Mallorca Enchanted, highlighted these breathtaking pictures of Mallorca. Yes, inviting. Yes, pictures of Mallorca.
Because Mallorca's almost too successful, and it ends up overshadowing its own culture. Internationally, because people go, oh, Mallorca, it's Magaluf and beaches and stuff like that. And people don't know. We've obviously lived here for a long time, and people know that our friends know that we live here, and they come here and they look at the place. This is so much more to it than I thought there was. They thought,
It's a lot more than we think. In Mallorca, was the hometown of Ramon Llull, for example. He was born in the 1200s.
Until Rafa Nadal came along, he was the most famous Mallorcan.
He was the most famous person. He was he became the most prolific philosopher and writer in Spanish history. Over 450 treatises in Catalan, in Spanish, in Latin, in Arabic too.
There was something called the Mallorca Map School.
Mm-hmm. There was a Mallorca.
I think they didn't. I'll tell you what I know, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But there was, when people were mapping the world, obviously long before satellites, Mallorca was about the best place on Earth, and had these in Europe, I suppose.
Yes.
And they had these people just studying, and the world was using Mallorcan maps to push frontiers.
They did. Jefuda Cresques was one of the best known map makers here in Mallorca, and they were. These characters were from before 1229. 1229 was when Mallorca was reconquered. Yes, and from 750 to 1229, Mallorca was Arabic. Yes, I mean Moorish. Moorish. And with the interesting thing that the three cultures cohabitated peacefully. Then, yes.
It's God. It would be nice if people could do that now.
Exactly.
Everyone's doing this. I'm certainly in Britain, and with the rise of Vox and people like this in Spain, people don't seem to be able to live with each other anymore.
Exactly.
At least a few people don't, do they? But yeah, it's a very good point to mention that these groups coexisted peacefully most of the time. Then the Inquisition that followed was considerably less than peaceful. But at the time,
and not only that, it's after the Spain discovered the Americas and then conquered it. the Jewish were expelled from Spain.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and in from Mallorca as well, and they
Well,
were.
they were the Sephardic Jews.
Yes,
is that
Sephardic.
Right?
They were the Sephardic Jews. In fact, if they want to claim back citizenship, they can get it.
I heard that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's quite new, isn't it?
Yes.
From sort of 10 years
Exactly,
or so
10 years ago.
Yeah,
10 years ago. And so, but then, that was the biggest mistake Spain ever made. Yes, because that was the intelligentsia. That's the academics, the doctors, merchants. Yeah. So, it was getting rid of your brains. That was the biggest mistake ever made to here.
Yeah, no, and now we have this. Sorry, we're all over the place with this conversation. I like it.
Yeah.
That we're actually now coming back the other way. That now we've got. It's no one's invading anybody else anymore, at least in Europe. But culturally, people are mixing up all over the place because now people can move wherever they like. They can bring their jobs there. We've got Swedes and Brits and lots of South Americans. People forget there's a lot of South Americans living in Spain and in Mallorca.
Exactly. Well, if you see the financial news right now, Spain has been successful. Yeah. Successful in the last few years because of immigration.
It's very true.
And the growth has been kept, and immigration has allowed the social security system to keep collecting because there are less working people, and on top of that, those people who are not working, they have to be subsidized.
It's interesting because like a lot of countries. Spain is the fastest growing economy in the developed world by quite a long way, actually.
Exactly.
It's doing very well. And a lot of other countries are going, we don't want immigration and we don't want net zero in Britain or to chase renewable energy because that's going to make us poorer. And the two of the things that's making Spain the most successful country in the developed world is immigration. And renewable electricity.
Exactly.
And other people are saying this is ruining us. And Spain's going, well, we're making more money than anybody else, at least growing faster than anybody else.
It's growing fast. Although we have to say that, the immigration that Spain gets, it's, Spanish speaking.
It is a very important
point. I
point.
Say 80%. It's Spanish speaking, the shared culture, shared religion, so it's... there are little differences, but we have 80% of similarities, so that makes it easier. Spain does have also immigration from North Africa, and which also integrates over time. But whereas in some of the countries, that's the difficulty. They have to. They have to embrace values that are completely different from their.
And it's. I mean, I'm an immigrant in Spain, so are you.
So am I.
And,
exactly.
But like in Britain, so I keep referring to Britain because I am British and I kind of want to keep up on the British news, that lots of people who are against immigration are against the people coming in at the bottom of society, the poorer people coming in. Spain, the anti-immigration, tends to be against the richer ones coming in, doesn't it? The people... of the Northern Europeans and the Americans, people like coming in and buying the big houses and all of that stuff.
Well, exactly. The crazy thing is that you get in a lot of wealthy people or well-off people that they can afford buying a second residence. Yeah, but they're only going to be here 3 months. I mean, out of the whole year, they use it 4 or 5 times. Yes. And now we have a housing crisis. And plus, after the pandemic, people discovered working online. So you have a lot of people from Germany and from Nordic countries who are doing their 9 to 5s here.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
they're earning their salaries there, but they live here.
They're getting a Stockholm salary.
Exactly.
Spending it here.
Is spending it here. So which means that they go to rent a house. A local earns average 1,500. So, and then rent now has gone up to 1,000.
Yes.
So it's like at least. So he has created a huge problem for the locals. It's like they're out. Marked. They're completely out of the market.
Yeah. Yes. And it's when I look at because if I look at that, I totally understand that point. I mean, we're not very rich. So we own our own house, or at least we will do, if we keep paying the bank back every month. And it's our only house. But I totally have sympathy for that point of view. But if I look again at the British one, where people are criticising the people coming into the bottom end of society, that seems much less of a valid criticism. People come and they want to work, and they don't want to take your house off you or your,
exactly.
And it's not impoverishing the middle classes in the way that it is doing here.
Exactly. Well, in some cases, it's of course, you look at people. The other day we were doing a tour and we were in front of Plaza Cort, and not the other day. It was a few months because school was out, and it was a school excursion, and you looked at these kids. I would say 50% of them were foreigners. They were born here, but their parents are foreign, and they're not blue eyes, blonde and blue eyes.
Like our kid. Yeah.
Exactly. So they were Hispanic, Latins, or African. So and then these British men pointed out. But you look at that picture, it could be anywhere in Europe now.
Yeah.
It could be anywhere in Europe. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's true. So a lot of people are afraid of the new makeup, the new configuration. You're seeing more brown people around, and people are, beginning to get scared. You see what's happening in the United States. They're chasing now the brown people. It's unreal. But it's because of fear.
I thought people would just get used to it. Because when it first happened, people are a bit like, oh, okay. And I thought people would become accustomed to it. I before moving here, I lived in London. I lived in the East End of London, which is very ethnically diverse, and I loved it. I grew up in a little village in the west of England where there weren't, more or less everybody looked like me, and then in London, I adored it. I adored the cultural difference, and I thought that when people really experience cultural diversity, they learn to like it. It doesn't seem to be always the case. Some people are really railing against it, or maybe it's the people who don't experience diversity who are frightened of it.
Those who haven't experienced diversity are afraid of it. A few years ago, I met this person, from Valencia, and I said, "How's?" She had just moved here, and she said, "Okay." I asked her, "Okay, how do you find your experience here in Mallorca?" And she said, "I was shocked to see so many people from other countries." Yeah, because and then I realized, Valencia, and now Valencia is becoming more diverse, but at that time, less than it is now. So it hadn't been exposed to the diversity, and sometimes we take it for granted. Yes, take it for granted that you will see people from all over the place now here. In fact, when I came to Europe, it's when I started. Understanding other English accents other than U.S.
Yeah, okay.
Accent. I got exposed to the first time I heard a Scottish man in Brussels. I was like 3 times I was blushing, and I was like, I speak English and I cannot understand this man. So, but now I understand. Now I can differentiate who's Scottish, who's from Australia, who's from different English speaking countries. And that's because of the diversity we have here.
Yeah. No, I mean, when in Britain, sorry, I'm rambling all over the place. When we had the Brexit vote in Britain, it was the places that had the fewer immigrants that voted for Brexit. Towns like London were like, I'm not frightened of immigrants. I know lots of them, and they're fine. So they tend not to. But so I the world is on a bit of a tipping point in some places, isn't it? And I do hope it keeps going towards diversity, because actually, if you choose not to like diversity, there's not much you can do about it anyway. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen,
happening.
Yes.
It's an unstoppable tide. Learn to love it, I think.
Exactly. It's unstoppable because of, people have a right to get a better life. Of course, it's better if you can do it more orderly, and you come with resources. But those are the expats, and there is a difference between expats and immigrants.
I have to say, I hate the phrase expat.
Exactly.
When applied to me, it's like, I'm fine with the term immigrant because it's exactly what I am. But some people really differentiate it.
They differentiate it because expat means you came here with resources. You came here because you chose but out of you have an opportunity to choose. But an immigrant came here because it's. You're escaping from violence, or you just want to be able to feed yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, or you just need an opportunity to move forward. So there is a difference in that.
There is people criticize people as being economic migrants. I moved here because it's sunny.
Exactly.
How shallow is that? and I was allowed to. I'll never stop counting myself as being very fortunate to being born at this time in the continent I was born in, and particularly as a Brit at the time, I had the opportunity to go wherever I wanted to on that continent.
Exactly.
We don't have that anymore.
No.
I took advantage of the things I was lucky enough to have. And it's
Exactly.
And I never stop saying how lucky I am for it. Anyway,
Yes.
Right, we've been rambling quite a lot. So tell me what you've got coming. What's next for you?
Okay, the next big thing will be La Nit de l'Art, yes.
Yeah.
And also we're starting conversation clubs as well as of next week. This is 2-hour conversation sessions, and with different levels.
And you're based in Palma, or you?
Based in Palma.
Yeah,
Based in
okay.
Palma. We do it in different places, in hotels. Usually, I usually look for a hotel that is quiet. Yeah.
Do you have different ability levels, like a beginner's class?
Yes, you
intermediate class?
have beginners,
Right.
intermediate, and advanced. Yes, and also do online classes, and because some people live here and then they go back for some time, and we continue having online.
So if you want to learn Spanish or English,
Spanish or English.
chances are, if you're listening to this, you probably already
Exactly.
speak English. So
Exactly.
Spanish is your thing, and if you want to be shown around the historical highlights of Palma and
Yeah.
some art, you've got it all covered, haven't you?
Exactly. Yes, and that's why I came up with the idea of doing these tours, because sometimes it's easier to, especially when at the beginning, people need to loosen up. So it's easier to just forget that you're trying to make the effort, and so you're walking around, and then I use actually what's around. Look at the window. Oh, that's a store window, and that's a window. Yes, a house window, and that's the bank. And how do you ask to get for the cash point, and the different things that we use every day.
So you're learning without it sounding like a lecture.
Exactly.
I mean, when I first came here, I did some Spanish lessons before I came here. Not very well. Then I was working in a restaurant, and I had to order. I was a chef. I had to order the vegetables, so I left a message on the answer machine every night saying I want 3 kilos of this or whatever. And the guy used to come round, and we just used to talk about the football or whatever. I was learning a lot of Spanish just by talking to the veg guy about the football or the weather or whatever. And it's like, I learned more during those interactions than I really did in a formal lecture. Maybe that says something about me. I think I switch off in lectures. But engage me or put me into something like that, and it will go in much easier.
The good thing about doing this, doing it practical, is that you bypass many problems. First, and this is what I have to look for when I teach, that people lose fear. You have to get them comfortable. And because we feel awkward, it's like we would like to be as proficient as we are in our own language, and it's impossible. You just have to go through the toil of having to reconfigure your mouth for a new language, and this is effort. And so you have to and if you have a motivation, like I have a Ukrainian student, she learned to speak in 6 months.
Right.
But why? Because she's got 2 kids, and she has to deal with the school administration.
Got to get by. Yeah.
Yes. So, and she has a need.
Yeah.
Yes. And when you have a need, you actually learn faster.
I bet. Yeah.
Yes.
Like motivation.
It's a motivation.
And the big one to get over is like, I've learned how to ask a question.
Exactly.
But then the answer comes back, and I don't know what any of the answer meant.
And on top of that, when we do it in real life situations, we learn in school formal language, and people out speak colloquial, and they don't pronounce properly. They eat their words, they speak fast, and so they have to get used to that. That's because
it's like in English. I guess if you're learning English as a Spaniard, people might say, English people say, hello, good afternoon. And actually, some of them say, all right, and some of them say, how do, and oh, you're right, and titty bye, or whatever. There's so many colloquialisms.
So, exactly, so many of them. So, and then not only that, people speak fast and they do not articulate. So it's like for you, you only hear a mumble. You cannot, identify the word. And so that's why we do these, because it's a real setting. It's a real setting, but more relaxed.
I watched professional cycling quite a lot, and I remembered a couple of years ago suddenly discovering I was better at Spanish than I thought I was. I was listening to Alberto Contador, who's at the time Spain's best cyclist. Couldn't really understand much of what he said because he was really rolling. He was filling the sí, pero bueno, there's lots of he filled the gaps between all of the words, and I was like, I didn't understand that bit, and it wasn't. It was like going Yeah. If you're an English speaker and someone says your brain just goes, I don't need to know what was.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I listened to Nairo Quintana, who is from Colombia, I think, and he spoke the most beautiful Spanish with no gaps, and I used all the words and I pronounced them in a way that I found so much easier. I was like, I can understand this guy a lot.
Colombians speak very well,
right.
very well, and they still use formal language.
Maybe that's what it was.
In most settings too. So they articulate very well too.
He spoke like a textbook. That's exactly what I needed. Yeah. Perfect.
A very rich vocabulary too. Very rich vocabulary. Yes.
Fab. Now I think that's probably enough from us two right now. There's plenty going on there, and I think we're going to invite you back as often as you'll come to come and talk to us again about what's going on with Taekwondo and with the various different projects going on in Palma. So that's enough to get us all started. So Sergio, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And well, I was going to post a link to. I'm going to post a link to everything you do, which sounds like a lot.
Exactly. Well, so, to begin with, they can. You can go in online on Google and put que cuando. Que cuando means what.
I'll list wherever we get the podcasts. I'll list it below. So there'll be a link you can click on. So don't worry about trying to spell it. But really, if you're going to start somewhere, go and have a tour of Palma.
That would be the first. The start. Right.
It was awesome. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
What a sweetie.
He's a great guy, isn't he? And as we mentioned in the interview, links for everything he does in the description where you find your podcast here. There'll be links to his various different bits of businesses. So he's a good guy, and I hope we get to have him on a bit more often. He's fab.
He said he'd come back, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So
get him in.
Get his date. Get the date in the diary. Right. Is that us from? Hang on. These are, to use the phrase, not my teeth, I'm breaking them in for a friend. Is that us for now? What's coming on this week? What's going on this week?
Well, next week we've got the Night of Art. And
the big one in Palma.
Yeah,
there we go.
massive.
We know about that.
And also, I'm going to tell you, I've just been having a chat with Sawyer Shirley, and there's a really big event happening up in Sawyer on the 20th and the 21st of September, which is called the Habaneras. And it's...
yes, I saw that by mistake years ago.
Oh, have you seen it before?
It was great.
The singing on the beach.
It was. And I've always thought, I really want to go back to that. And I couldn't remember what it was called or what it was.
There you are.
I was a walking guide here probably quite close to 20 years ago. It was nice, something like that. And we were staying with our hikers on the beach, in the hotel on the beach in Sawyer. And there was just this little fiesta going on. And
it's not a little fiesta anymore, baby.
Well, look, you interviewed Shirley just before we were recording this, and you'll hear Shirley's interview in the next week or so when we publish it. But it was like small, specific choirs singing songs. Laments, there we go, at sunset on the beach. It was tremendous. And there was somebody was serving cremat.
Yes.
Which is tremendous local hooch, which is sort of rum and brandy on fire, and they give you
exactly.
And I said, well, I'll have some of that. I'd had it before. I knew it was quite pokey, and as I sort of it blew out the flames, and then went to take a sip, and all of the fumes went straight up my nose, and I started a tremendous coughing fit, which the three old ladies thought was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. Look at him there, the tourist with his. So I had a lovely night of coughing and listening to singing on the beach in Sawyer, so we should definitely go up for that.
Yes.
Anyway, I think that's probably enough for us
now,
of that. Yeah, there's plenty of that. Right, I'll see you next time. Like and subscribe and follow us and all of that sort of stuff. Everything you need to know is in the lengthy description underneath the podcast. Ciao for now.
Hey, thanks for listening. Listen, we need your help. If you don't mind, would you please subscribe wherever you got this podcast? You can find it in most places, Spotify, iTunes, all the rest of them. Just click subscribe, and if you get a chance to leave us a review and you'd like to leave us a good one, we won't stand in your way. And something for you. If you'd like to get our monthly newsletter, then visit our website. That's Majorca-Mallorca.es. That's Mallorca with a J, -Mallorca-ES. And follow the link there. And if you'd like to ask us a question, send us a DM to our Facebook or Instagram channels. And wherever you get your podcasts, if you see the show notes, you'll see the links for everything you need. Thanks for listening. See you next time.